So I was at church the other day getting set up to play for a Sunday, and the other guitarist has a quad cortex, and he was telling me that he has a friend who owns a studio, has a lot of really nice amps, and he was able to get captures for a bunch of them that week. And like, that's really cool. He was really excited about that. He was using one of them for the set that Sunday, and he sounded great. But to be honest, I would not have been able to tell. I would have had no clue if he hadn't have told me. Now, that's not to discredit him or the amps. He sounded great, but he sounded like himself. He sounded as good as he always sounds. And it just further had me thinking that, I think capture is solving a problem that we don't really have. Certainly a problem that I don't have. I run an HX Stomp for basically everything. All of the music that you hear on this channel goes through an HX Stomp, and that's basically it. I have a small MIDI controller that I use for BPMs on Sundays, and when I'm not using the XL, I have the extended 2-foot switches. And that's it. I don't even have a board that I put him on. Just take him to church in a backpack and pull him out. Now, that doesn't make me better than him for that, but I think a lot of us might be spending money, a lot of money, to solve problems that we don't really have. Now, granted, the HX Stomp has some serious limitations. The biggest ones are DSP and then hardware, like foot switches. It's a tiny unit, I get that. And so I wanted to go over with you some of the ways that I use my HX Stomp to get the absolute most out of it, because I'm sure a lot of us are aware of snapshot mode and snapshots. It's a great way to run it, but there are several ways to use the full feature set to really squeeze the most out of it and have it be everything you need. is my HX Stomp, and this is the preset that I use for just about everything. I have the same one on my XL, and here's how it sounds. This is the clean setting. So off the bat, there's a lot going on here just with these three switches. Normally I have switches 4 and 5 plugged in as well, but today I mostly want to talk about how I gain stage. So I am using the snapshots, but not for gain staging. To do this, I just wanted to kind of build it straight from nothing. Okay, so this is a new preset. I think the settings on it are like stock. But as tip number 0, if you go to view and then you hit action and you go to the next page over, you can clear all the blocks. And that way you don't have to zero all of them out. It's kind of a weird hidden spot, but that's how you can get a brand new preset. So now we have just direct in. So while the purpose here isn't to teach you how to build a brand new preset, we're going to start with a fresh preset so you can kind of see how I'm doing some of this stuff. So one of the first things that we get is our amp and cab. Now some people do these together, some people do them separately. I just put it together to save a block. If I ever needed to do it separately, maybe that'd be useful. But in terms of using this thing efficiently, this is just my preferred way to do it. Now my favorite amp on here is actually a bass amp. It is the US Dripman Norm. It's based on a Fender Bassman, and so that's usually my go-to. Let me just set a couple of preference things. Okay, so the cab I like is the 4x12 cal E30. And we'll get rid of some of that digital harshness. Down to like 6K. I don't know, I'm kind of aggressive with it. But that's where I like it. So now that we have our cab picked out, the first tip here is going to be to set one of your switches, one of the blocks, to just being an amp gain. And so I like to dial in a nice, not too gainy clean. Which I think that sounds fine. There's definitely some preference tweaking we could do with this, but for now we'll just go with this. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to increase the drive here and probably bring down some of the level and assign both of those parameters to foot switch 1. And that's going to be my first clean versus gain sound. So to do that, I'm gonna hit both of these buttons to go to the menu. I'm gonna hit controller assign. I'm gonna set it to controller 1. Or foot switch 1 rather, and then I already have the param being drive. We want to boost that. So we had that at 3 as a minimum. We'll go with that, and then we'll make our max 9. So it's going to be nice and drivey. So now Now, I just set that up with drive. You can obviously adjust a lot of things with that. Our drive was a little woofy, so maybe you would bring down some bass, maybe bring in some treble. And like I said, another thing I like to do with that is to bring down the channel volume. So just as an example, let me show you that one more time, because we can assign multiple things to that same foot switch. We're going to assign our channel volume to foot switch 1, and we're going to make the minimum volume, so this is our clean, our min volumes are clean, at 7, and our max volume, that just means foot switch on, our max is actually going to be a bit lower, perhaps 5.5. That might not be enough, but I like to play where levels are the same, and that way whoever's controlling the sound can make that call. But especially that way I don't have my cleans unhearable by me. I need to be able to hear what I'm playing. So we've got those, we've got our clean, So like I said, still a little woofy. We can play around with that a little bit more if we wanted to. But we now have a drive and a clean with just an amp and cab on the board. So we're already saving our blocks. Now here's another thing that I like to do. Let me get a drive. I really like the Top Secret OD paired with this. Now I'm going to bring the gain down, and let me just clean it up. And I'm going to assign it to switch 2. Okay. I like the Top Secret OD as a nice hard clip, and then the drive that I get from the drip bin is kind of more of a soft clip. So I have both of those flavors. So we have this, and if I turn on the other one, kind of more soft, and they do stack, of course. But from here, what I like to do is I feel like something's missing. So if we look at the Top Secret OD, we can see that our gain is set at 3.9, right? What I like to do is additionally assign this foot switch an increase to this Top Secret OD's gain. And let me show you what that'll do. Okay, so right now I have assigned to foot switch 1 the Top Secret OD's gain, and our minimum value was 3.9, right? We're gonna set our max value to like 8, and this is going to make it just super screamy. So the point here is that I've got my hard clip and my soft clip. If I turn this on, I've got my hard clip. But whenever I turn this one on, not only will I have them stacking, but I will be cranking this one's gain, and it's going to be almost like fuzz level. That's going to be like my super leady tone. And so, like, maybe that's too much for you. That's the way that I like it set. And again, there are definitely some woofy sounds in there that I would need to tweak a bit more. But on just 2 switches, we've got 4 really solid gain stages. We've got our clean. We've got our soft clip coming out of the amp. We've got a hard clip. And we've got our lead tone. And all of that we have in just 2 blocks. We've got our amp cab block and we've got a single drive block. Now, something you may have noticed here is that I don't have this switch on as a tuner. You can control that in your global settings. If you come into here and you set foot switch 3 function, if you already have it set as a tuner, it's going to be right there. But if you switch to foot switch 3, or stomp 3, then you have that as an extra spot. Now, why would you want to do that? I mean, obviously, you've got to be in tune, right? Well, you can activate the tuner by pushing both of those at the same time, and then you can turn it off by hitting any button. So you've got your tuner accessible. Granted, we are cutting corners here. You'll have to reach down to do that if you need to, but that's no problem if you tune before the set. And I think seeing people reach down to tweak things on their boards is not all that uncommon anyway, so to reach down to tune is completely fine. You just hit these 2 buttons. That said, something else that I really like to do with HX Stomp in order to squeeze out most of its potential is to use snapshots. Now, right now we're in stomp mode, and I don't mean using snapshot mode, although that's really useful too. What I mean is cycling through snapshots. So real quick, let me just set a reverb pedal here, and we can do something with that. So that's kind of a nice soft reverb. So let's set up our 3 snapshots, where snapshot 1 is no reverb, snapshot 2 is this, with a nice light reverb, and then snapshot 3 is very washed. Now, you can obviously do this however you like to do your snapshots, but for the sake of this test, that's how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do that real quick. Let me just go into snapshot mode real quick so that I can set those. Okay, so we've got our 3 snapshots set up. So like I said, first one is off. Second one is some. And third is very washed. Cool, now we can get out of snapshot mode. We're back in stomp mode. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the command center. We're going to go over to our 3rd foot switch. That's where we're going to put them. And the easiest way to do that is going to be to go over to command to snapshot, and the press is next. And by doing that, you can see we're on 3, you're on 1, you're on 2, you're on 3. So So now on just these 3 buttons, we've got 4 gain stages, we've got 3 reverb washed stages. We can still set up our tuner, and of course there's a whole lot more than that you can do. But with this, we are very efficiently using our 3 switches. We've only got 3 things on here. Like, you could set up so much more. We're only using 3 of our blocks, so if you wanted to add in some delay, some modulation, add those as part of your snapshots. I know a lot of people gain stage with their snapshots. I like to set up like how washed it is on my snapshot, and so delay is part of that. We can add in compression and a number of other things. And we always have this 1 and 2 out up here, and so we certainly have more options for more foot switches. But all that within a very simple single preset. So like, even though this unit is tiny and it doesn't have the most DSP, you certainly don't need to get a whole Helix floor or anything like that. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars. Last I checked, you can get an HX Stomp for like 430 bucks on Reverb, which is like not a small amount, but if we're going up against something like the Quad Cortex or Capture or even real amps and pedals, like, we're doing pretty good here. So those are some of my go-to ways that I get the most out of the HX Stomp. Anytime I'm going to set up a preset, that is the first thing that I do. I figure out my gain staging situation, and I figure out my snapshots. And really, by the time I get those built out the whole way that I want them to be, I've used up a fair amount of the blocks. Like in the example that I showed you, we were using up 3 foot switches, right? And 3 blocks. But if we had worked in things like delay and modulation, we'd be using up a little bit more of those blocks. But then that leaves us our whole like extra foot switches 4 and 5 in order to have a little fun with. Like, I usually do a sub-octave on one of them and a compressor on the other. Whenever I'm using the HX Stomp XL, I usually also have like a chorus on it. Just extra goodies, but by doing it this way, I have room for those extra goodies. I don't feel like I need to get a whole Helix floor or a Helix stadium or something like that. And for me, that works great because like, I'm looking for like a great value and like super convenient. So like I said, when I walk in for the gig, I'm carrying a guitar case and that and a backpack, of course cables and stuff, but that makes me able to do everything I need to, and I usually don't really feel like there's any concessions. I usually don't feel like I'm particularly limited, and if I had a bigger, more robust unit, I'd be able to do a ton more stuff. That said, even with an HX Stomp, there are solutions to that. Like, what I talked about today is my starting point, but I've got a ton more tips. If you want more of those, let me know. I might make a couple more of these videos because I've just discovered a lot of ways that you can really squeeze the most out of an HX Stomp. Hey, if you made it this far in the video, hit that like button if you enjoy this type of thing, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what sorts of things you do with your HX Stomp or even other units to really get the most out of them and use them to their fullest potential. And I will see you in the next one.